Life is not a straight road, it's more like chapters in a book, each with its own lessons, struggles, and triumphs. But the problem is, a lot of us tend to compare our chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 10 and end up even feeling stuck without realizing that this is only a phase and not the whole story. And it is also important to understand that life moves in seasons. Sometimes we blossom, sometimes we struggle, and sometimes we're just figuring it out. And the truth is, every stage of life has its purpose. And what if I told you that you're exactly where you're meant to be? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, if you're not new here, welcome. There are lots of content on my channel to binge watch, indulge in, get to know my content and while that's it, please like this video if you haven't, subscribe as well, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I make a post. And for my new viewers, every week I tend to share the topic of the week, what I've been watching with you guys, what I've been listening to. I get to share my playlist, and also I get to have a quote of the week where I get to share it with you guys towards the end of the video. Yeah, for today I was like, you know what, let's talk about life in stages, because I feel like a number of us do not understand that life works in stages, and without that understanding or the willingness to understand that, we'll continue to get impatient, frustrated, and sometimes even lost. So I was like, you know what, let's talk about life in stages so we can have some understanding. Perhaps that will help us to reduce some pressures and expectations we set on ourselves. So I was like, you know what, today let's talk about the seasons of life and why embracing the seasons can bring you more peace, confidence, and direction. So if you're someone who has felt stuck before or unsure of what's next, stick around. This might change your perspective. Think about it, guys. There was a time where our biggest struggles or biggest worries was what toys to play with, and then it moved to school where grades were like a life or death situation. Then we moved to adult and our worry shifted to careers, relationships, and bills. And in the future, it will also move to retirement, legacy, and reflection. And if we don't understand that every stage requires something different from us, we'll keep getting impatient, frustrated, and sometimes even lost. But the first thing to understand in life as a stage, or life moving in stages, or life having different stages, is understanding the stage you're in. That's the first and most important thing. After understanding that life moves in stages, the next is understanding the stage you're in. As I said earlier on, every stage of life has its own purpose. Your 20s are for learning and experimenting. Your 30s are for building stability. Your 40s perhaps for refining what truly matters. But the problem is, a lot of us stress about not having it all figured out by 25. And the question is why? You don't plant a seed today and expect a full-grown tree tomorrow. So it is important to understand that every stage of life has its lesson to teach us. And if we try to rush it or we try to resist it, we miss out on the growth that's meant to happen. The next would be comparison being the thief of joy. In the aspect of life being a stage, the biggest issue we have with this, or that limits our understanding of seasons of life, is comparison is a thief of joy. It is so easy for us to scroll through social media and see our friends achieving their dreams, going to their school of choice, being accepted into top colleges, getting scholarships, getting married, getting engaged, having babies, graduating, traveling around the world, and then for us, we're just figuring life out. And it is okay, because you have to understand that everybody has a different timeline. You wouldn't judge a butterfly for being a caterpillar first, right? So why are you judging yourself for being on a different timeline as another person? There is no universal timeline for marriage, retirement, making something substantial in your life, building stability. There is no universal language. Oprah didn't become successful until her 30s. Colonel Sanders didn't find or didn't start KFC until his 60s. Some people marry at 22 years old, others marry at 40 years old. Some people build wealth early, other people build wealth late. So it is important to understand that there is no set timeline or age, universal age at which you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have babies, you're supposed to start making 6 figures. No, everyone has a different timeline. It is very important to always remember that your timeline is different from mine, regardless if we're twins, we're best friends, we're family members, we're married. It doesn't matter. Your timeline and my timeline are different. The next thing to understand is enjoying the process. This is something that a lot of us do not do, or we find it very difficult to do. And this is, no matter what phase you're in life, it is very important to ask yourself what that phase is teaching you. And I know that sometimes it is really difficult because we're so caught up into our pain, our situation, what is currently going on in our life. We're so emotional, but in the midst of all of that, and this is not to downgrade your pain or diminish your pain, that's not it, but in the midst of all of that, it is very important to ask yourself what this phase is teaching you, because our experiences, whether good or bad, they all shape us and prepare us for what is next. It is all part of the journey. That is why you hear things like, in retrospection, it all makes sense. Now in retrospect, you get to see why you had to take that detour, you get to see why this didn't work out and all of that. But how, or what are some tips that we can use to help us stop feeling stuck or help us enjoy the process more? Number one would be to stop comparison. That is the most important thing you should understand when it comes to life and its seasons. Comparison, as we said earlier on, is a thief of joy. Understand that your timeline is only for you. Whatever is happening in your life is working according to your time, not a universal timeline, not for example, your community timeline, where you're from, or as women as a whole. No, it's very important, or as men as a whole. No, it's very important to understand and always remember that your timeline is different from every other person on planet Earth, and your timeline is yours alone. The next would be for you to be present. Another way to help yourself from feeling stuck is being present. Instead of worrying about the future, ask yourself, what is this phase trying to teach me? And in as much as I know that sometimes because of the emotions and pain, we are limited to seeing beyond what's going on currently, it is really important to ask yourself what this phase is teaching me, because the lessons or whatever that phase is teaching you is what will equip you for the next stage. Everything that we're going through in a particular phase, whether it be struggling, whether it's a season of growing or struggling, it doesn't matter. This all what will equip you for the next stage. That is why you hear things like, you went through this thing and such an opportunity came up, and I could utilize this opportunity because I've been able to gain resilience. For example, I've been able to become more patient. So yeah, it truly comes in handy for the next stage. The next would be to trust the process. Growth takes time. It is very important to always remember that you don't plant a seed today and expect a full-grown tree tomorrow. So give yourself some time, give yourself some patience, be patient with yourself. Eventually, when you keep trusting the process will eventually trust you back. But the most important thing is to understand that every phase of our life is teaching us something and preparing us for what is next. So whether it is a season of growing, a season of learning, a season of thriving, or a season of struggling, it doesn't matter. It all has value. But yeah, guys, let's move into what I've been watching this week. For this week, guys, I've not had the opportunity to have so much screen time when it comes to movies and TV shows. But for this week, I've been watching The Chosen. The Chosen, I spoke about it last week. It's a series I just started. It was inspired by the story of Jesus Christ from the Bible. If you're interested, give it a watch. It is really an interesting watch. And then the next on my list, I just heard this series. It is called This City Is Ours, and it is really an interesting series. I'm currently on episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of episodes, I think up to 10 or 8 has been out so far. You can find it on Flickstore. That's where I'm watching it, at least. So you can find it on Flickstore. It is really interesting and it has to do with the drug business. And what I must say about this series is, so far in episode 2, knowing that it's a drug or series that has to do with drug, there has been no violence, just one shooting, like just one killing. But in all that is going on, that I said no violence, guys, a lot is going on. Like things that will keep you on your toes, things that will keep you anxious. You know, you're always eager. What is next? What's going to happen? Oh my god, human beings are this, why wait this? You know, all of that. It is really a thrilling TV series. Give it a watch if you haven't, and it just also exposes you to how human beings behave. You know, as I said earlier on or last week, human being will always be human being, and if you're not really paying attention, so many things can be happening, not even behind the scenes, right in your face, and you wouldn't understand that whatever is happening even has to do with you, or that there's something happening. So yeah, it's really interesting. Give it a watch. And then what have I been listening to this week? For this week, in case you're new to my channel, I do have a playlist titled Victoria's Playlist, where I get to share all my African songs. Now, this is not Afrobeat. These are different songs from Africa, Nigeria, Tanzania, South Africa, Ghana. Just give it a listen. The next playlist would be V Blues. It's titled V Blues. And for this, I have my international songs, artists like Fauzia, Rihanna, 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, Friday, Future, you know, all the international artists that I listen to their songs to at least. So yeah, those are playlists that I listen to, I use myself, and I curated this playlist to share my playlist with you guys. I am someone who is such a huge fan of music that I literally don't know what my life would be like without music. So that is also a part of me that I would love to share with you guys, and also that's also an avenue to perhaps get to know me more or try to understand the kind of a person I am. But yeah, that's about it for my playlist. So guys, the next time you're feeling stuck or feeling left behind, it is important to understand and always remember that life moves in seasons. Your winter will pass and your spring will come. Your journey or your life is unfolding exactly as it's meant to be. Trust it, embrace it, live it, and also remember that this is just a season. This is not forever, and this is not the whole story. Even though I know sometimes it can be so difficult and demoralizing when you see other people living your dreams like it's nothing, you know, or only things that you can only dream of. I know and I understand that sometimes it's difficult, but we also have to remember that there were times where there were places where were just dreams to us. There were things that were just dreamed to us. There were goals that were just dreamed to us. And today we're living in it. Some of us have lived it. Some of us are currently living in it. And we cannot really explain how we got there, but it just so happened that we're living in it and we've lived it or we've experienced it. So yeah, this is a reminder to always remember that life moves in seasons. Aside that, on the first understanding that life works in stages or phases is very important. So you're not rushing yourself where you have people make or have deadly deadlines about when the limit is for them to have a baby, get married, have certificates, start earning 6 figures. And we often tend to go through extreme measures, extremities, to make sure that we're aligning with having 4 kids by 30, even though at 30 you've not been able to do well financially, mentally, physically, or psychological. Just because we've had that dangerous deadline, we do anything in our power, even beyond our power, to make sure that it's like that, without understanding that life moves in seasons, and for every season there's a lesson for you to learn. And regardless of your emotions or how painful it is also important to remember or ask yourself what this lesson is teaching you, or what this phase is teaching you, because that is what will be your weapon for tomorrow's battles. If that makes any sense, that's what will fully equip you for when the next stage comes, for you to be able to vibe freely, to flow freely, and to be able to have some sort of understanding. So yeah, guys, understand that life moves in seasons. There's no universal timeline. Understanding that there is no comparison. Stop comparing. Be present. Trust the process. And yeah, let's move into what's our quote for this week. So guys, our quote for this week is by Moses Courier, and the title is "There is no deadline." And it goes, "There's no deadline for life. None for getting married, having kids, becoming financially stable, getting a job, or finding your path in life. Life unfolds in ways we can't predict, moving at a pace that is uniquely our own. I hope you allow yourself live fully and freely without the weight of time passing down on you, without the fear that you're too late, that you've missed your chance at love, stability, or purpose. I hope you never believe that your life is confined to a script written by the society that has been wrong about so much. Society clings to timelines, expectations, to the idea that certain things must happen by a certain age, but life has never worked that way. Some things come early, some take longer, and some arrive in ways you never saw coming. There is no single path, no perfect timing, no rule book that decides when your life truly begins. So I hope you let go of the pressure, the comparisons, the fear that you're not where you're supposed to be. You are, and life is unfolding in ways you can't see yet. And yeah, guys, I just want to leave you guys with these encouraging words. So always remember that there is no timeline, or there is no universal timeline. Work at your pace and enjoy the process. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like this video if you haven't, hit the notification bell, share if you haven't, subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, feel free to share on your social media platforms and tag me. I'm going to leave my Instagram handle, my TikTok handle, and my Snapchat handle. You can find me there and see what else I'm doing on different social media platforms, and maybe you get to see a different side to me from YouTube, who knows. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week.